The entirety of the mainstream media is having a meltdown over ABC News choosing to settle Donald Trump's defamation lawsuit against them. In case you missed it, Trump sued ABC News because George Stephanopoulos repeated a lie at least 10 times, and that lie was that the jury in the E. Jean Carroll case in New York found Trump liable for rape, which wasn't true at all. They found him guilty of sexual abuse, and under New York state law, those are two very different things. And in fact, if you take a look at the jury form, when you take a look at what they found, did Donald Trump commit rape? Did he rape E. Jean Carroll? They checked no. So there is no confusion here. There's just no way to spin this. And look, it is really difficult to prove defamation or libel against a public figure, let alone a politician or the president of the United States. Most legal experts on both the left and the right thought that Trump's odds of winning the lawsuit were well below 50%, maybe even less than 25%, yet ABC News chose to settle. So that led to a lot of people saying, ABC's bending the knee, or ABC's kissing the ring, and the media is just melting down over this, right? They think that it is Trump attacking the press, it's Trump bullying the press into silence, and leading the charge on this is Chuck Todd from MSNBC, as well as Jake Tapper from CNN. Here is what Chuck Todd had to say when he appeared on Chris Cillizza's show.
Stunning to me, and absolutely a gut punch to anybody that works at a major media company, because I think it does sets a precedent that is going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to get out from under potentially. I just, I think the risk of losing this suit was 5%.
Right.
Like 50%.
For ABC. ABC.
For ABC.
Yeah.
So, this was a decision to buy off a bad PR.
Or, I think the more realistic explanation is ABC News was probably afraid of what would be found out during discovery. That's my opinion. I think ABC was scared that if they moved forward with defending themselves against Donald Trump, that during discovery, text messages would be revealed, emails would be revealed, showing either intent or a blatant disregard for the truth, which is what you need to prove in order to win a defamation or a libel lawsuit. So I think that's why ABC settled. I mean, come on. This is the same media that went after Trump for years over Russia, Russia, Russia. If he breathed the wrong way, there were headlines about it 24/7. Meanwhile, they turned a blind eye to Hillary Clinton's emails, to Joe Biden's cognitive decline. They allowed Kamala Harris to take cover and hide from them for several weeks during the campaign. Is there doubt in anyone's mind that perhaps there would have been something embarrassing written down either in email or text message? So I think that's why ABC chose to settle, because they didn't want to go through the discovery process. I think it would have been really embarrassing for them. And yes, it's dumb to write stuff like that down, especially when there's the threat of lawsuits all the time. But I really do believe in my heart of hearts that these corporate media entities have gotten so arrogant because they think they're above it all. They think that they're more influential and powerful than they really are. And so I think they got sloppy. I think they got lazy, and that showed in their reporting. The facts in the case were clear. Donald Trump was found guilty of sexual abuse against E. Jean Carroll. True. He was not found guilty of rape. That is a fact. And yet, on the media, you're allowed to say your opinion. That's not what this lawsuit was about. If George Stephanopoulos had said, the jury found him guilty of sexual abuse, but in my opinion, I think that's pretty much the same thing as rape, it would have been fine. It would have been fine. But he said, not once, not twice, not 3 times, he said 10 times that Trump was found guilty of rape, which is just false. And the thing is that these media entities, especially the big, giant corporate ones, the mainstream media, they do have internal review systems. So according to the New York Times, I know we're talking about ABC, but I want to use CNN as an example. So according to the New York Times, in CNN's newsroom, it's called the Triad. So in other words, this exists in every newsroom, and for CNN, we know they call it the Triad, a 3-pronged internal system designed to ensure that sensitive reporting by the network's journalists is unimpeachable before it runs. So CNN, every story, every segment goes through that Triad. They have 3 different teams that greenlight a story before it makes it onto your TV. We don't know what that process is like for ABC, but they do have it. Maybe it's one team, maybe it's two, maybe they also have a triad, maybe there are 4 checkpoints. I don't know, but the reality is that it realistically, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would have been very difficult, in my opinion again, for George Stephanopoulos not to have known the facts about the case before he made that statement 10 times on TV. Now, what Chuck Todd was saying there was really funny. He was saying, it's going to be really hard for the media to get out from under this lawsuit, to get out from under this settlement that ABC has set a precedent for all of us. No, it's not. Just tell the truth. Just do your job. When you're giving an opinion, when you're giving analysis and commentary, be very clear. But when you're supposedly a news outlet and you're supposedly giving the facts, be factual. And when you have a team of lawyers, when you have a team of producers, there really is no excuse to get something like that wrong. So there that is. But that wasn't all Chuck Todd said. He kept going on this rampage.
I mean, again, look at what he did to E. Jean Carroll. There is precedent for him being held liable for disparaging people personally. And he's done it so much that I know he loves to be litigious. And, I don't think I always thought the lawsuit was just designed for him to say he had a lawsuit.
Of
right?
course.
It wasn't right that it's sort of, why do you file the lawsuit against the media
when
company?
I was at CNN, he filed a lawsuit against CNN. He's filed lots and lots and lots of these lawsuits.
And they always get thrown out. And this one would have too. I just don't see how they thought it wasn't going to be. Other than it was clear that there were, I think, Trump's side felt more motivated to go further than they have in previous suits.
But again, this didn't make it to trial. This was settled by ABC. And so that raises the question, why did they choose to settle? I think there are 2 options here. Number one, they didn't want the costly PR war. They know it would have been really embarrassing. So the higher up said, you know what? It's not worth it for us to pursue this, even though we would have won. I do think there is a risk to that because in addition to the PR battle, by settling, I think that tarnishes your brand. And I think the flip side, that leads to option number 2 is they knew. Again, perhaps there is something written down in writing that would have proved either malicious intent or just a blatant disregard, negligence for the truth. I think that is a possibility. It was ABC who settled. It's not like this went to a court of law. So for all the hand-wringing over this, why isn't the media investigating ABC? Why aren't they asking ABC executives why they chose to settle? Instead, the media is pointing at Trump and saying that Trump is the bad guy. Trump is the one threatening the media and he's bullying them into submission. He's the bad guy when it was George Stephanopoulos who lied 10 times on national TV. Once again, the media has gotten this story wrong. It is all about Trump bad, and they can't look in the mirror, examine exactly how this situation came to be. Seriously, they haven't learned. You would think that they have. And apparently, the person who is most upset about this is George Stephanopoulos himself. And there have been rumors and whispers that he is exploring his options. According to Variety, Disney's settlement with Donald Trump, Bob Iger's $16 million decision, fear at ABC News, and questions about George Stephanopoulos' future. And on top of that, they are upset that ABC chose to put corporate interests over journalistic interests. Over at the Wall Street Journal, they report Disney's decision to settle Trump defamation suit prompts backlash at ABC News. Staffers questioned the decision approved by Bob Iger. The company was looking to avoid a protracted legal battle. Well, newsflash to everyone working for the corporate mainstream media, your bosses have always only cared about the bottom line. It was never about journalism. And if it was about journalism for them, and if it was journalism for you guys, you do a pretty bad job at showing it, quite frankly, because it's really clear you have a bias and appear to have a disregard for any fact that makes Donald Trump or Republicans look even remotely like good guys. Now, this freakout isn't just limited to NBC's Chuck Todd. Jake Tapper also went down the rabbit hole on this on air.
We should note, Kristen, I don't want to overstate Trump's friendliness and genial attitude at this press conference, because this weekend ABC News agreed to pay $16 million, including legal fees, to settle a defamation lawsuit brought by Trump against the network and their anchor, George Stephanopoulos. And that obviously will not be the end of this campaign against the media, legal campaign against the media. We heard him go after many other news outlets today. Take a listen.
Well, I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper. We're filing one on 60 Minutes. We're involved in one which has been going on for a while and very successfully against Bob Woodward. We have one, very interestingly, on Pulitzer, because reporters at the New York Times, Washington Post got Pulitzer Prizes for their wonderful, accurate, and highly professional reporting on the Russia hoax.
We don't have time to go into all of that, but just to touch base on a couple. There's one of them is the people of Iowa, the Des Moines Register. That's because there was a poll that was inaccurate. Mm-hmm. The one on 60 Minutes is because they didn't like the editing that had been done to the Kamala Harris.
From Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I mean, this is wildly ridiculous.
Well, one of the things to keep in mind here is that Donald Trump feels like he won. I mean, this weekend, by having a settlement with ABC, one that many people did not think was going to come to fruition. They thought that this would end up in court, or that it would certainly not be a settlement in which ABC paid $16 million and issued a public apology, which was part of this, has been a situation which has empowered and emboldened Donald.
Trump has always been litigious. This is nothing new. I remember when I was a kid, that's when Trump and Rosie O'Donnell had their first big spat. It went on for several weeks, and they were just throwing insults at each other. They went on different late-night talk shows and would throw insults on each other. If you haven't seen that, you should go down the rabbit hole. Just look up Trump and Rosie O'Donnell insults, and it's kind of funny. But the reason I bring that up is because he even threatened to sue Rosie O'Donnell for saying nasty things about him. So this is something he's been doing long before he entered national politics. He did it in the real estate business. This is nothing new. It's not as if he is uniquely challenging the press in this way. And if the press did nothing wrong, if there were no questions about whether or not they are doing something unethical, such as what George Stephanopoulos said on air, then these lawsuits wouldn't even be in question. And if the lawsuits really are ridiculous and frivolous, then judges will throw them out. So again, that is a question. Why did ABC choose to settle? I personally think it's because they were afraid of something. Now, it's really rich for Jake Tapper to be talking about this because he himself is at the center of a $1 billion defamation lawsuit against CNN. Over the summer, I revealed that Zachary Young, who was helping evacuate people from Afghanistan, is suing CNN and Jake Tapper for $1 billion for defamation against him. And what happened was they essentially accused Zachary Young of operating in a black market, of being a scam artist, and they said really nasty things. And one of the things they used against him, they accused him of charging exorbitant prices when his clients are mostly corporate clients. I think it was like Bloomberg and Audible. So yes, he was charging a lot of money, but these were for corporate interests over in Afghanistan when Biden botched that withdrawal. So there is really bad news for CNN and Jake Tapper on this. According to The Hill, a judge allows Navy veteran to proceed with defamation lawsuit against CNN. Multiple outlets have confirmed this. Exclusive details: Judge Hands besieged CNN devastating verdict in high-stakes, explosive billion-dollar defamation trial with U.S. Navy veteran. Now, this lawsuit is getting a lot worse. It looks really bad. So I made a video earlier this summer. In case you didn't see it, I'm going to pin it below as the top comment so y'all can check that out. It is a fascinating case. It went through the triad, that internal system that CNN has. So this was looked at by their legal team, by their producers, and they still, despite all the plot holes and all the issues with the story, they decided to broadcast it. Not just once, but a few times, and they even posted it on social media. Well, now things are even worse for them because CNN is being accused of at the worst, lying, but at the very least, of playing coy with their net worth, with the valuation of the company. And that obviously will have an impact on how much Zachary Young can go after CNN for. According to Fox News, CNN accused of misleading court on net worth for high-profile defamation case. So this could get very interesting in the next few weeks here. And of course, the irony in all of it is that Fox News had their own defamation case against them. They, of course, settled with Dominion, but the mainstream media at the time was having a field day with it. They were mocking Fox News for that defamation case, and now, boy, oh boy, have the tables turned, and it appears to be Fox News that's on the outside while CNN is going through this turmoil, and this case is certainly a lot worse. In fact, Zachary Young's attorney, Val Friedman, issued a statement. If CNN recognized the significance of the Dominion settlement as a cautionary tale, and yet still chose to defame Young, that fact demonstrates the insufficiency of prior monetary amounts in deterring CNN's misconduct. Such evidence illuminates the severity of CNN's disregard for journalistic standards, underscores it knowingly undertook risk for clicks and viewers, and bolsters the argument that punitive award is necessary to deter CNN and others from future defamation. I will be keeping everyone updated on this case. I'm really excited to see what happens. I think it'll be fascinating, and I'm sure there are bombshells to be found. Now, speaking of CNN, they did talk about the media and Trump, and one of the CNN commentators had the audacity to legitimately ask the question, what anti-Trump media? I don't know what you're talking about. And of course, Scott Jennings put her in her place.
What media are you talking about that's anti-Trump?
You're not familiar with the anti-Trump media?
You're not familiar with the fact that you guys control for everything
of
from
all
podcasts?
the things I've heard you say out here, that might be the nuttiest.
Scott,
believe me, there's plenty of anti-Trump media.
She's trying to pay you. I'm trying to pay conservatives. What I'm basically trying to say is that you guys have taken.
She was about to say, you guys control podcasts. First of all, podcasts are an open system. Literally, anyone can create a podcast as long as you have a phone, a camera, and access to the internet. Just slap one on. It's not like anyone is excluding anyone from creating podcasts. And why does this alternative ecosystem exist in the first place? This ecosystem exists because the mainstream media had dominion over the entire narrative. They stonewalled everyone. They only let people who shared their same beliefs and worldviews and philosophies into their newsrooms. And that's why we only get one side of the story from all these corporate entities. That's why the alternative media ecosystem exists. They shut out everyone else. People, and Glenn Beck was shut out, and that's why he started his own program. Megyn Kelly, Joe Rogan. It's not just the podcast. They've done this to their own politicians. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. You can go down the list. And the best part is that the Democrats are eating themselves alive on this issue. So Senator Durbin was asked about Congress giving itself a pay raise in this new bill. And by the way, fortunately, it looks like this bill may not pass. But instead of answering the question, he attacked CNN instead. Take a look at this.
Members are giving themselves a pay raise. Do you guys deserve a pay raise?
Well, that's news to me. It's good news. What has it been, 10 years or 14 years and no COLA, no change at all? I think it's about time something's done.
You support giving yourselves a pay raise?
How would I not know about a pay raise?
But I mean, people look at the performance of Congress and say, why should we give them more money?
What about the media? Think about that for a second.
We're not paid by public money.
I know you're not, but half of your listeners are not there anymore. You're still getting the same paycheck? What's going on?
Woo! Do it. Eat yourselves alive. I am all here for it. Now, before I wrap up this video, I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow, Thursday, December 19th, here on the channel, we will be having a Christmas piano live stream. I will be taking requests. I've been going through the comments, trying to make a list of as many songs as possible that everyone is leaving in the comments. Along with, so I mentioned earlier, I'm going to pin a comment with a link to the CNN video. I'm also going to pin a link to the live stream because some people have been asking for that link in advance so that they can share it with their friends and family. I'm trying to keep this just focused on holiday music, so let me know your requests if you have any. Again, that is tomorrow, Thursday, the 19th. We will begin at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. I'm hoping to run for about 2 hours. And for those of you who can't make it live, yes, it will be available for replay after the fact. So as always, all of this is my commentary and analysis. That is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. What do you think about Trump's lawsuits against these media companies? I know that most people who watch my channel are obviously Trump voters or Trump supporters or at least Trump friendly, but is anyone worried that Trump is attacking the press unfairly? Is anyone worried that this is an attack on the First Amendment or that this has risks, that this sets precedent for future attacks on the First Amendment? Or do you have another point of view? Do you think that this is about accountability and making sure that the media is held to a higher standard, especially when they purport to be reporting the truth and the facts? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.